Cool. And then I think we're live, and I'm never really sure. So I'm going to check the group.
We live. We might be live, man. This might be my first time.
This is like so exciting. Let's see. And I know Be Live always ruins something. So leave a comment if you can hear me. And show. All right, cool. That works. Let's see. I always have to
We got
check.
one viewer or one comment?
Wait, that was me.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we have a viewer, but I can't ever tell because Be Live keeps changing it.
Yeah.
Because like Be Live is caught up in like the bot apocalypse or like the bot pause or something.
Yeah.
And so like they're always stuck like, oh, do we break it or not? And I think one of the ways like Be Live is getting ahead of the curve is they just like remove all personal information. So like I can see somebody put like heart comments.
Makes sense.
The delay and see that it was like Sean Kang who left our Steph. Super cool. So I'm super excited to be here with Danny Velez. Danny Velez and I started working like 8, 9, 12 months ago, something like that.
Something like that.
Like way back in the day. And he was growing his agency. And he literally, I think when we first got on the phone, you were like in an insurance company trying to do Facebook ads. And I saw the people in the background walking around. What was that? Do you remember that time?
Yeah, bro. So that was actually at my house, at my apartment back when I lived in York, PA, and there was people doing repairs at the window. I lived on the third story, on the third floor. There was people doing repairs like all over. Yeah. So it was super awkward in the background. But it was about 12 months ago, bro. And I was just leaving working as an insurance agent, broke insurance agent, I should add, about a year ago.
Yeah, and like, wasn't it with like insurance? You could make a sale, but if they canceled, they would take the money back or something like that.
They would take all the money back. So if I made $700 on a sale, but most people cancel their life insurance within 3 months. So 3 months later, I would have to pay that $750 back.
That sucks.
That sucks.
Didn't you work as like your dad's car shop or something like that?
Yeah, so I was also helping my dad out. In between that, bro, I was doing all sorts of shit. I was doing like 5 things. So I was doing an insurance agent, but I was so broke. So I was selling stuff on Craigslist on the side, just picking random couches up and selling them for a profit. Yeah. And I was also trying to help my dad flip cars so I could make, $50 to $100 per car to help him sell them or something,
So you're free Facebook ads agency you're missing. So you were working like minimum wage jobs, like floating from job to job, like it just sucked. You didn't have the bang for the buck, anything like that, right?
I didn't have anything, bro. Literally $0, man. My first couple clients, like copywriting and Facebook ads agencies, I told them, hey, send me a check because my bank account was so overdrafted that I wouldn't even have received my first couple payments.
And now you're closing clients at $3,500 a pop, right?
Bro, super grateful to be able to be in that position. But, before I was doing all of that stuff, before I was broke, but I've been doing internet marketing and just testing and doing businesses for like 5 years. So, I know that all of that stuff kind of helped out to where I'm at today, just that consistent grind and that hunger. Yeah. It made me a little bit relentless, man. I knew what it was like to almost get evicted 5, 6 times, getting letters and stuff like that. I actually posted a letter on my Facebook a while back from my landlord. So I knew I had to do something, bro. I was going to continue living a shitty life.
I remember your Facebook post about like when everybody hits that rocket ship, right? Or that rocket or the big jump, right? And I remember you posting that like you were trying to change your mentality and your approach and land clients. You're getting all these trainings. And I, as an agency owner specifically, was in a weird position to take advantage of what you were learning because my first big account, and I don't want to say the name, but the bike shop, right? Like the bike shop was like, I just landed my first big account. Danny, please fucking help me because I don't know what to do. And I just sold a soap opera sequence and I don't know what that means, right? And then you're like, Jeff, I got you. We did an onboarding call. You talked to him. I don't speak Spanish, but you do and he did. So that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that was fun.
And it was because of your soap opera sequence. 14 people walked in that weekend and bought like $8,000 bikes. Like
that's nuts, bro.
The guy came in 2 weeks later. He's like, I don't believe any of this. This has never happened before. I don't think it's true. Who did you send? And I was like, no, it's supposed to work, right? And we checked like the receipts, and every single one of those people opened and read, scrolled through those emails. So like,
That's nuts, bro.
I never understood the power of storytelling, but that's what soap opera sequences and email sequences are, right? Like you're telling a story that connects with real life people, right?
Exactly, man. So with the soap opera sequences, by the way, shout out to Arnie Giske for connecting us through that job, because it was through Arnie Giske that he connected us, and it's been all upstream from there. But that was actually my first time really knowing that I could do this as a copywriter. So it was my first time really seeing like, oh shit, I'm over here talking real confident, like, but it was one of my first times, that I'm like, dude, this actually works, man. So it was cool. But soap opera sequences, we're just telling stories that, because the number one way to connect with somebody is through emotions. We think it's through logic and facts, but logic and facts only help support the emotions that you're conveying to your audience. Yeah, so it was through the stories that we were able to do what we did for that bike shop, bro.
So was there a specific moment in your agency journey, like you were trying to do Facebook ads and you settled on soap opera sequences and email sequences, or did you go, I want to do email sequences, or did it just kind of like fall in that way? Like for people watching this, trying to figure out the right way to grow their agency, what was your journey?
Yeah, so my journey, it's pretty unorthodox, and I'm gonna go ahead and share that with you guys today, as time progresses in the interview. But the beginning steps for me was really, I started sharing these stories on my Facebook, because I had bought Dan Henry's Facebook ads for entrepreneurs at the time, and I didn't know what the hell copywriting was. But I knew that Dan kept talking about it, and everybody was like, yeah, this copy's good, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the heck is copy? I thought it was just stories that made people, take an action. And that was my idea at the time. So I started sharing stories about my personal, successes, failures, and really just opening myself up just to practice. And as I was doing this, people were starting to comment on my stuff and connect with me and reach out and say, hey, dude, these are awesome. Then somebody, actually Stephanie Pena, hit me up on a comment and said, hey, can I hire you to write one of these things for my company? And I was like, yeah, for sure, we could do that. I didn't even, at the time, I honestly didn't even know I was doing copywriting. So it was through the process of getting my first client that I was like, okay, let's do this. And then I just did what I did. I kind of just pulled the resources that I had around me and made something happen. And she was actually, blown away by the project. But that was my first time. It was just through sharing stories on my personal profile, practicing my craft, that people were like, dude, this guy might be kind of good at this.
And what I really like about that is so often we say, I have to be an expert, or I have to be number one, or I have to be like Gary Vee or Russell Brunson. And that's not particularly true. Like when you're going to mechanic, they don't have to be the best mechanic in the United States for you to give them money. And for you on your journey, you didn't have to be the best copywriter in the world. You just had to solve her problem and move her towards her goal. And you kind of like proved yourself you did it on your Facebook profile, right?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was trying to prove myself on my Facebook profile.
Got it.
Sharing stories. And honestly, I was trying to get people to connect with me. I wanted to build a tight circle of people like you, like Arnie, like Steph, like a bunch of people. I just wanted to build a solid circle of people that perhaps we can build and grow off of each other's energy.
That's super interesting. So if somebody's like just starting out, would you recommend that they don't look at it as like email sequence or soap opera sequence, just start telling stories and doing it on Facebook? Because what I found is that when like you're under the age of 35, the way people look you up is they look at your Facebook profile. So if all of a sudden like your stuff looks legit, you start getting like cold emails, right? And cold messages like, hey, can you write my stuff, right? Is that like what you would suggest somebody who's just starting this journey?
I think that's the simplest way to do it. And some people, they, don't like writing as much as I do. Some people like to get on Facebook Live and tell stories. Some people, so it's just a matter of difference. But for me, I knew that I had to share my story for people, because I understood the power of stories already, because I had been learning about all this stuff. So I was like, dude, I know for a fact, if I just share my story and I'm transparent and I'm clear with people on what it is that I'm trying to do, that my newbiness, by me being open about the fact that I'm new to this shit, people are going to respect that, and they're going to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to believe in this guy and go ahead and work with him, even though there's other people way more qualified. That was my idea.
It's like the opposite of you make it. Like, just be genuine that you are new to this, and people will understand and they'll pay you for it. And like, maybe you're not going to make $3,500 from email sequence at the beginning.
I didn't. I made the first couple email sequences. I think you paid me like $320, and then I was like, fuck it. I was like, hell yeah, dude, $320. You know what I mean? So, and then I started increasing my prices to 400.
Yep.
Then, I got a little bit discouraged with some, I didn't know if I could continue doing this. So I dropped my prices again, but then, it was just all a process.
So what would be some of like the 3 awesome insider secrets to connecting with like looking back to like Danny Velez like a year ago? If you had to tell him like what would be some 3 awesome secrets to connecting more Jeffs and Arnies and things like that? Is it like just start posting in your Facebook more? Is it like be part of their circles? Is it be honest with yourself? Like for people watching this, is there like a 1, 2, and 3 format they should take home today?
Yeah, so I actually have some notes right here, just kind of thinking back last night when he told me about it. I mean, I'm sitting back and I'm like, well, what is it that I did? So this is what I did. The first thing that I did was I cleaned up my Facebook profile.
Yep.
And I know that sounds kind of trivial as a first secret, but most people don't really think this far. But a lot of my clients, they went back to damn near the end of the very beginning of my Facebook profile and were liking statuses and were checking stuff out just to get a feel for who I was. So the number one thing is you got to clean up your Facebook profile. You don't have to make it look super professional and internet marketing-ish, with crazy expensive photos and photo shoots and stuff like that. At the beginning, I just had a cool photo of me and my girl, at some mountains. And then there was one that we did we were lounging in Las Vegas. So it was just, I wanted people to get a feel for who Danny Velez was. So the way that I cleaned up my profile was that I made it look professional in the sense that I was writing stuff that was valuable to people that would come to try and feel me out. So that was the first thing. So I got rid of drunk pics and, stupid, too many. I never really took that many selfies, but I would get rid of too many selfies. If you're taking a freaking selfie a day, that's adding no value to anybody.
Yeah.
I cleaned up my Facebook profile.
I remember specifically reading through your profile and seeing one day all of that change. Like all of a sudden, it wasn't Danny Velez trying to be a storyteller copywriter. It was Danny Velez is the storytelling copywriter. And like for some reason, there's like this mental shift that changes when you get rid of all the stuff that says you aren't. All of a sudden, the only thing that is left is the stuff that says you are. And looking back, like I can't ever tell that there wasn't a pre-Danny storytelling Velez. It's the only one that exists, right? So that's like an awesome tip, number 1. So if anybody watching this is on your Facebook ads journey, trying to scale your agency and grow, one of the first things that you can do today is to just clean up your Facebook profile and make sure it matches what you're trying to send out to your potential clients and customers. So that could mean just generally clean it up or like get rid of your selfies or no more drunken photos. Like be the person online, the same person you want to be in person, right?
Exactly, man. Just get rid of things that are going to potentially decrease your status with people. For example, I smoke weed. I didn't care to take away stuff that said I smoke weed from my profile because if you can't accept that about me, then I don't want to work with you. I was selective in that sense. So that to me doesn't decrease my value. But too many drunk selfies, it just makes you look irresponsible or, too much partying, whatever the case is. You want to be a stand-up professional.
Yeah.
The other thing is like I said earlier, I started posting what I call paradigm stories. And what that was stories of my downfalls, stories of where I was, and stories of how I proposed to get to where I'm getting to. I wasn't just posting stuff like, hey, I'm a copywriter. This is why you got to be hiring a copywriter. It's more expensive in the long run to do it yourself than it is to pay a premium price for a copywriter. I wasn't saying stuff like that. I was never really selling myself. I was selling the result of what it is that I could do. I was writing stuff that was professional. And I know a lot of people here have a Facebook ads agency. At that time, I had a Facebook ads agency mainly, and I wasn't just a copywriter. Right. But this stuff was still working, for the simple fact that people want to get to know you before they spend money with you.
So that's like super interesting or makes a lot of sense. I think everyone is so afraid of being outed or like not being the expert that they forget that if you just start from day one and start telling those stories, those paradigm shifts, things like that, it won't matter, A, if you're the expert because you're getting the result, and B, selling copywriting in Facebook ads is a lot less about selling copywriting in Facebook ads, and it's more about getting someone the result that they want. And so when you're posting those stories, you're talking about what they can get or the result. Like when you're buying a Lamborghini, nobody talks about like the details of the car. They're talking about it's the Lamborghini, it's amazing, it's awesome. Stop talking to me about the steering wheel. Nobody cares about
the nobody's caring about the 6 cup holders that it has in the car. Nobody. Right.
Very cool. So what would be like a number 2 tip for someone looking to connect with future clients and grow?
This is the number two tip. This is the number two tip. Start friending could be clients. So for me, I was I was actually getting chiropractors as clients. So I started going to local chiropractors and then expanding across the country. And I was adding them as friends. I was finding them, hanging around their Facebook page, and then once I was able to have a couple different chiropractors as friends, Facebook started showing me suggested friends because it figured I wanted to be friends with chiropractors. So then it became very easy. But I had to do a little bit of digging at first. So if you're the type of people who are martial arts studios, find some grandmasters or some senseis or some martial arts studios and add them. If your people are roofers, try and find on Facebook where it is that a bunch of roofers aggregate. Might be, the Roofers Union Facebook group or some shit, right, and just show up in their world, show up in their world, so that you can kind of just slip into their conversation rather than be another abnormal marketer trying to scheme money out of their pockets.
And so does that tie into your idea of provide value first? Like when you're friending and commenting and interacting, you're not going up and saying, hey, I'm a copywriter, do you want to buy my stuff? You're actively being involved in their circle and their circle of influence, right?
Yeah. And I'm getting to know how they interact with each other, what type of things they care about, because, not to be creepy, but then I was going through their comments and how they were interacting with other people. And I'm like, okay, so this is some of the stuff that they really care about. Let's, let me talk to them and meet them at where they're already at.
Gotcha. And when you combine that second tip with the first one, let's say you do start some very enlightening process and prospect and the whole, everybody's like, wow, this is amazing. Then they're going to go on your profile and be like, oh, this guy's legit.
Yeah. Yep.
They're gonna,
it's kind of like a profile funnel in a sense, because people are going to go on your profile and they're going to start reading your stuff. And now the invisible funnel that they're in is you, you are the funnel essentially, your interaction and the way that you behave is the funnel.
And that's where you will actively warm up your potential clients. By the way, I think invisible funnel, I learned that from Arnie Giske. And I think that's the same person you learned it from. Follow him and get involved in his invisible funnel and you'll see how it's supposed to work.
Exactly. I did learn a lot from Arnie, man. So
very cool. So what would be a number 3?
So the number 3 is just to follow up on number 2 is warm up the prospects that you're adding and befriending by showing up in the world like a fucking boss, man. So what I mean by that is you got to show up in their world before you try and pull it out to them via their inbox. You got to show up in their world by commenting on their stuff, go on their profile and look at their latest status. And if, some of the chiropractors, they liked fishing. So I'm like, I'm commenting about that. Dude, that's cool, whatever. And I've gone fishing before, whatever, the whole thing is, or if they just had a baby, hey, congratulations, beautiful baby, God bless them. Whatever the case is, you want to show up in the world and you want to be who you are. Those are things that I would say. Maybe those aren't things that you would say, but you want to be yourself and show up in their world, comment on a few of their things. And then, maybe later in the day or later after 2 days of interacting with them, like a professional, then you slide in their inbox and their DMs and you say, hey, thanks for connecting. Really appreciating your posts. Looking forward to talk, whatever the case is. I don't know. And then just initiate a conversation in that way.
Yeah. I think what's really important about that is everyone always tries to say, oh, there's this person. Let's make them give me money. Let's go in for the kill. Let's close them today. And you end up forgetting that the best and highest customer lifetime value does not come from one shitty $50 sale.
No, it doesn't.
From a proper warming up phase, finding that you guys are the right connection and fit, and then letting them research you in the way that you feel is best. So when I get between 3 to 5 cold emails, Facebook messages, and text messages per week of people saying, hey, can you do my Facebook ads for me? Why is that? Because for the past 18 months, I've literally shown people from the beginning my whole Facebook ads journey as it's been going up. And my entire profile is filled with results, testimonials. I got it. I messed up. I was honest about it. I got fired. I got rehired, the whole real journey. And a lot of people understand that. And so when you're trying to find clients and customers, understand that they're going to research you, Google you. And when you're going to be part of their circle, you're going to get invisible funneled. and then it's going to be amazing, and then they're going to self-filter and then pay you a lot of money. It's going to be wonderful, right?
Exactly. No, and it's cool, bro. And just, to kind of side note here, but not really, you've done an incredible job doing this for the last year, and it's been fun to watch your journey. One cool thing about yourself is that you're always yourself.
Yep.
You're never trying to be some phony marketer. You always add a flair of Jeff to this. So, and I add a flair of Danny to my stuff. So the important thing for people to capture here is that you have to be yourself, because everybody else is trying to be somebody else. And the only way you're gonna differentiate yourself from the mob of people trying to be an internet marketer is by being yourself. That's how you kind of elevate your status, because you're authentic.
So don't worry about being like Gary Vee. Don't worry about being Russell Brunson or Tony Robbins.
Just learn from them, but don't try and be them. That's corny.
No, you should be the best version of yourself, and always try to. I like the term I use. Is I want my relationships to be unbalanced. I want the people to feel like Jeff is providing so much value in their life that the seesaw is in their favor. I think you take that approach and you make it in your own Jeffness or Danny-ness or Paxton-ness or Sonia or Brandon or Asvedoness. I totally butchered his name. But then all of a sudden, the universe pays you back. Like, people will connect with you and your story and your ups and downs, and you don't have to be the perfect 4.0 GPA med school student. Nobody likes that person. Right? Nobody's going to.
They're boring to be around, to be honest. Super logical, brainy people.
And like, people buy on emotions, and logic comes second, which I thought.
Exactly.
So guys, if you got any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, ideas, we've just gone over 3 awesome ways to connect with your future clients to help you scale and grow your agency. So if you got any questions or comments, put them in the chat now. I can't see people's names, or I can. I'm not sure. There's like a lag because I've got the Facebook NB Live, but we'll see what happens. So if you got any questions, now's the time. I'm going to click the show button, and then we'll go over a couple questions.
Cool.
Let's see what else is going on here. Somebody, oh my God, this is horrible. Oh, it only says comment from Facebook, no actual names.
Oh, man.
This is so bad, and I can't scroll in the live comments.
Shout out to whoever is giving these questions.
Right, it's so funny. All right, so here's an awesome question, I think, specific for you. Cody says, Danny, what is your process for creating copy? So someone who doesn't really know what copy is, you're not copying and pasting. Copy is the text that goes between images and words that conveys emotions and supplements somebody to take action. So Danny, what's like your process for creating copy that works?
Yeah, so the process for me, my process at this particular point, it's kind of changed, throughout time. As you evolve, you're going to continue evolving. But the most basic way to think about it when you're creating copy is, first and foremost, you got to understand your target audience and who they are and who it is that you're going to be marketing to. Because if I'm trying to market to moms, but I'm talking like a dad, in my advertisement, there's going to be an automatic and psychological disconnect. And they're gonna, bro, before they even finish the first sentence, they're out, because that's how quickly people make a decision whether or not they want to commit to reading something. So the first thing is you got to have a foundational understanding of who your audience is. I do that through researching. Sometimes, we do customer research surveys, which Jeff goes into in depth in his course. And then other times, I'm just doing market analysis by looking in consumer reports and just trying to get a feel, or forums, trying to get a feel for the language that this audience uses. Once I have, my research and all that type of stuff, customer avatar is ready, the process for actually sitting down and writing the copy is understanding what the result is going to be, what emotion it is that I'm trying to portray, and who this audience is. And from there, you're just writing an engaging story that, obviously has an irresistible offer, has a rock solid guarantee, and just has all of that psychological matter that people need in order to feel comfortable making a decision with you.
So what's really cool is the best performing soap opera sequence, I think we've had 2, Bike Shop and Car Wash. The Bike Shop soap opera sequence does not talk about how great the bikes are. It talks about the end result that biking will give you in connecting with your family, the health and the wealth that comes with it. If you establish who your customer is and what they want, and how your offer gets them there, all of a sudden it doesn't matter what you're selling, because they're concerned about the result. Like, you sell step 2, that type of idea.
Exactly, man. You want to sell the result, man. You want to sell, what emotion is that person going to be feeling? What, how is their status going to be increased by the purchase of this particular product?
Very cool. We've got Some really good ones now, actually. Oh, now everybody wants to ask questions. Okay, so comments from Facebook. See what I don't even know. How many emails on average do you write after a person opts in? So to say this a different way, what is the length of a good, proper soap opera sequence that turns a Facebook ad interest into a buying customer?
Very simple, just 5 emails. So over the course of 5 days, we're sending them a very personal email every single day. You know, and it's going to be providing them with obviously everything that we talked about in the first question, which is the psychological stuff that they need in order to feel comfortable with you. So just 5 emails, very simple.
I will add to that there is some structure to it. Like you tell a story in the middle, not in the beginning. The first email too long is way too much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You have to like baby step them into the story. You have to reiterate the offer. Time is coming to an end. But you should actually, if you're interested in like how those details work, send a message to Danny Velez, and we'll be doing something special. I pulled his leg for this, like at the end of this interview, about a special where you can actually get Danny Velez's top performing soap opera sequences. But the short answer is just 5, right, with some structure around it.
Just 5 emails, man. Super simple.
Here's one. I've been running an ad to sell credit card processing / merchant services to restaurants and breweries using a free point of sale offer as a hook. I've had no success. Targeting has been tough. How would you target those business owners effectively? I do want to say that this is more of like a targeting question, like a Facebook ads question. But let's say that this person left this comment gets like 10 people into like their funnel and their soap opera sequence. What would that soap opera sequence look like? And this is probably putting you on the spot. But like, how would that look? What would that structure? What would your thought process be? Things like that.
Yeah. So, well, first and foremost, you know, the first question I would ask is, you know, what is the research that has gone into creating, you know, the particular offers or whatever it is that, you know, because without that research, we're kind of just shooting darts in the dark, kind of hoping that we're hitting the targeting the right way, because the targeting a lot of times is the copy. You know, the targeting, the most important thing in the targeting is the copy itself, and the most important thing into the copy is that it has substance from the minds of the people that you're trying to sell something to. So I would say, you know, kind of just first and foremost going back, and if you haven't done the research, if you have, I'm sorry for, you know, kind of assuming, but, you know, the first thing I would do is do that research. The way that the soap opera sequence will work is kind of like the other ones work. You know, you're going to obviously need to have first and foremost an irresistible offer that your target audience would be stupid to say no to. And then from there on out, you're going to allow them to understand the result with working with you. Is it going to be, you know, are they going to have 2% less merchant fees, which adds up to $17,157 on average a year that you're going to be saving them? I don't know. You know, so just having an irresistible offer backed by the research that you've done, you know, in the beginning. And then the rest of this stuff is pretty simple.
So who determines if your offer is irresistible? Is it the marketer or is it the person receiving the offer?
Yeah, you know, one thing about this is it's always going to be about it. Who cares what you think? It's always what your audience thinks. So if your audience doesn't find it irresistible, it's all good. You know, it's very cheap to continue remarketing to people in the sense that, you know, we don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it, just a few dollars. And if it proves to be shitty, you go back to the drawing board. But your audience is always going to determine whether the offer was irresistible in the first place. And what's going to help you out to make sure that you're not spending money uselessly is the research in the beginning, which I know for a fact Jeff drills home almost on a daily basis. That research in the beginning is super important.
It's so powerful. Like, if you know the research, you can guarantee your Facebook ads will get you the result that you want, especially when tying a soap opera sequence. I do want to say to the person who left that comment, my thinking is that your offer, your free point of sale, I want to say that may not just be irresistible. Somebody's already committed for 2 years. A free point of sale system means I have to be obligated to rip out my old stuff, rip out my old contract. You've got to give me something that's irresistible. That's probably not a free POS offer. So that's just off the top of my head. But again, it's the customer that determines if it's irresistible.
Exactly.
Not the marketer. Here's one. Danny, when talking with your clients and trying to help them uncover their story, how do you handle roadblocks in that process? For example, when business owners don't realize that they have a story. I'm going to start this off by talking about my bike shop guy. So my bike shop guy, he literally came into our office. He's like, look, I'm just a normal business owner. no big deal. And I was like, all right, so tell me about your family. So he starts telling me about his family. He's like, all right, when did you get here? Like the challenges and stories. And within like 15 minutes, all of a sudden I realized this guy literally fled South America, snuck into an MBA program in Spain, resettled in Miami so his parents back in South America would be proud of him. Like, oh my God. Like, it's literally the most American story you've ever heard in your life.
Literally just to open a bike shop.
Right. Just to open a bike shop. He has 3 locations now, by the way, which is pretty cool, right?
That's awesome.
And so, like, I think everybody has a cool story. It's up to the person conducting that story interview to pull it out. So maybe you can go into, like, how that interview process happens for you.
Yeah, so, if there's enough interest, if enough people say, yeah, I want it in the bottom, I'll go ahead and give them, do you think we should give them a copy of one of the questionnaires? Because I have a special questionnaire, has 11 questions in it that I hand over to every single business owner that literally gets the story right out of them, that gets the pain points, that gets their, what it is that they want to achieve. And it helps, and it reiterates, each question kind of builds on the next one. And it helps them understand, hey, you know what, I do have a story, and this is how we're going to go about doing it. So it's really simple, breaks it down in 11 questions, and it gets everything that you need to get out of a business owner.
I will say that it's stupid powerful. Like, I do these storytelling interviews, and within like 30 minutes, they're like, oh my God, you've changed my life. Like what are you talking about? It's just a question. Like, no, you don't understand. And now they're telling everybody their story. So don't comment stuff now. I see it, Christian. Don't comment now.
Okay.
At the end of the interview.
All right, let's do that. This is my first live, by the way. I don't know the etiquette and stuff,
I want it. Please, stuff like that. Here's one. I just got started with my first client, and how should I ask for a testimonial? I was thinking a 45-second honest testimonial for possible Facebook ads locally, how to target more clients. So I guess the question for you, Danny, is like, is there a structure when you're asking for testimonials? Because I know I wrote you a testimonial and it calls you my dirty little secret. I don't know if that's cool, but that's what I did.
That was cool, man. It was weird and cool as hell. Because it worked in my benefit.
So is there a testimonial structure? Like, let's say you had a successful Facebook ads targeting or like campaign. Do you have like 5 questions to ask that person that guides them through the testimonial process?
I'll be honest. The number one thing that I tell people, and don't get discouraged if it's tricky to get testimonials from your clients, because even for myself, and I mean, I've been doing this for over a year now, and sometimes it's still tricky sometimes clients are like, dude, I'm busy, whatever the case is. I don't know. Sometimes they delay with the testimonials. But the structure that I give them is I tell them, hey, just go through what it was like, working with me. So just so people can understand what the process, the customer service process is like working with me. Is it hands-on? Is it, am I leaving you hanging? So let them know what the process is like, and then kind of just go through how it was that I helped your business. And those are really, I just try and keep it simple, because when you give them too many directions, they're like, this seems like a tedious task. So it's just, what was it like working with me, which is the process, and then what was the transformation like? Gotcha.
So what was like working with me? What was that transformation like? To add on, what was the end result that you got? Leads, sales, ROI, that end result. That's like the good structure for great testimonial. So we're going to take a break from the comments. If you have one, leave them in here. We're going to go back to the structure of the interview. Number 2, the second fire, is how to get signed deals and prepaid even if you don't have the experience. And this is something that Danny did to me, which was, Jeff, you got to pay me before I get started. And I was like, normal, like that's how it's supposed to work. So all my clients from that point on, like, you pay me and then I get started. I learned that from you. So is there a way to think about like, so how do you get signed deals, especially like the $2,000, the $3,000? I remember at one point you're getting like a $4,000 or $5,000 deal. Like, how do you get those deals signed and paid before it gets started, even if you don't have that experience?
Yeah, so if you do number 1 correctly, all of these really build on each other. If you do number 1 correctly, all of this is going to be a lot easier, because the number 1 thing to getting people to pay you before you even, give them the product or even freaking start the process of creating the product is they have to trust you. If the person doesn't trust you and you seem even 1%, 0.5% shady in their mind, because, hey, this guy's Facebook looks kind of weird. He looks like a child. He looks childish, or whatever the case is. Any little inkling of distrust is going to make them say no very quickly. or avoid you, and then you're going to try and follow up with them for 6 months to no avail. So do number one correctly, those 3 steps that we talked about. But the first thing is that I did to kind of just get people to build. Well, not the first thing. The first thing I did was step number one. The next following things that I did to get people to trust me was I started commenting in groups. I started showing up where people would be at, and I started adding value on a regular basis. Because honestly, there is no trick here. There's only trust. And trust is something that I can't grab out of thin air. It's something that's kind of, metaphysical. It doesn't really exist in physical form. It's just something that is shared between humans. So it's just, you have to be able to create an environment around you where you can create trust with another person pretty quickly.
I like that.
So, yeah. And then also obviously ask for the sale. If I would have been a pussy and would have been like, yeah, Jeff, I'll get started now, and then fucking 2 weeks later, here, Jeff, can you pay me now? That kind of makes me look weak in the first place. You want to establish yourself as a professional, and then you obviously want to ask for the sale, man. You don't want to just kind of linger around it and hope you're going to get paid. You want to know that, and that's an incentive for you to do quality work, and that's how you should establish it with people if they question, why are you doing this? So,
my philosophical approach is, and I apologize to everyone watching this, like, if you're a guy, ask for the date. Just say, do you want to go on a date? Just ask, right?
Yep.
Then you can determine your path. But if you don't ask that question, you're really stuck in this like ethereal, unknown.
In the friend zone.
Say what?
You're gonna be stuck in the friend zone, man.
You're gonna be stuck in the friend. Don't get friend zoned in business. I like that.
No. Yeah, don't get friend zoned with your clients, man.
So you can get signed deals and prepaid if you develop that trust, if your Facebook profile is on point, if it looks like you know what you're doing, and if you've been honest with like your audience the whole time,
100%.
Then you can get signed deals and prepaid. And so let me ask you this: how long from when you started your copywriting journey until like you quit your job, traveled across the United States, just moved, you now live like an Airbnb in like Arizona, you moved from Florida to Arizona, like how long from when you said, I'm now doing soap opera sequences and starting that journey until you started closing $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6,000 deals? What was that, like 8 months?
It was actually 6 months. So, 6 months from that point, I cracked my first $6,000 month.
Nice.
Before that, I had made, when I started my journey around actually 1 year ago, like in the beginning of April, I made like 1,500 in April, then I made 600 in the next month, and so on and so forth. Then I made $2,000, and then there was 1 month I cracked over $3,000, and that was cool. But I had a lot of stuff that I had to pay off, and I was moving and all this stuff. But 6 months later, I started to make a consistent, $5,000 to $6,000 a month, and then 2 months after that, I cracked over 10,000 for the first time.
That's so beautiful. Like there is this huge psychological shift in your brain when you crack that $10,000 mark. All of a sudden, you're not like struggling and like scrounging around, like taking every deal. You're like, no, this is our process.
Right.
It works. This is how you get value and I get value. And for some way, something in your brain, all of a sudden, like you're on the other side, and you can't imagine doing it any other way than the way you're doing it right now.
100%, man. It's pretty amazing.
Exciting. Was 10,000 your 4-minute mile, or do you have like, like higher goals, like 20, 30, 50? Are we turning this into $1 million a year business? Like, what's your big, hairy, audacious goal type thing?
So, I mean, my big, ridiculous goal that, I established for myself a while back is I at least want to be in the 8-figure zone. 8 to 9 figures is cool for me. But right now, that $10,000 goal, and obviously that 8-figure goal that's like my 10 to 15 year goal. So I'm not rushing ahead towards that. I'm still building towards that level, and I'm not anywhere near close to it. However, that $10,000 thing for me, when I did it, I think it was in November. That was a huge deal for me, man, because for the prior 5 to 6 years before that, that was my goal. That was like, dude, I can't wait till I can crack, 5 figures in 1 month.
Yeah.
And in November I did it, and it was such a sweet feeling because I didn't even know I did it until I calculated all my, how much money I had made, because I was getting paid through PayPal and Stripe and all this other shit. So I once I added up all my stuff, I'm like, wow, man, I made 10,000 this month, bro. So it was pretty cool.
And by the way, I want to say, like, congratulations to your girlfriend for sticking through and with you all this transformation.
Oh,
like, nobody gives her props. Like,
Let's give her some props right now, man. She stuck by me for like 2 years while I was broke as hell selling her on a dream.
Yeah.
And good thing I was able to make good on the dream. But, shout out to her for supporting me because honestly, she came in the clutch and paid for a lot of my shit when I needed it. So
Very cool.
by the way, I just want to give a tip 2.5 before we move on,
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, to build trust, you also have to have structure. You can't be really haphazardous with the way that you're dealing with customers. You got to have some sort of a clear outline. Hey, we're going to do this first. Once we do that, we're going to do this next. Once we do that, here's what we're going to do. And this is what my process is going to look like for you. That way they can start turning this idea into a physical thing in their brain that becomes logical. And that's where the logic backs up the stuff, the emotional trust that you created with the person. So make sure that you create a structure for yourself. My structure was, first, we're going to do the interview. We're going to get these answers. Then I'm going to do the research. And then with that research, I'm going to compile it and start the writing process. It was pretty easy for Jeff and other people to see what that process was like.
So I like that because you mentioned earlier in the interview, you talked about how like people buy from emotion and then back it up with logic. Why do you like this thing so much? I think it's because of X, Y, Z. And exactly. So you do the same exact thing with your trust and structure process. Like, you're excited about this. We're going to get you the results. Here's how it works. Here's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm listening to an audiobook called Story Brand or Brand Script. And they talk about in your adventure with your client, you need to be the map. This is where we're going first. This is where we're going second. And my analogy when I do my onboarding processes for my clients and my customers is like, I treat it like I would if you're in like a medical office, like doctor, patient, like, tell me what's wrong. Here's the problem. Great. Here's my 10 steps to solving this. Like, you wouldn't buy surgery from a doctor that's just willy-nilly, super excited. Let's go do it today.
Yeah, let's start now. Fuck your medical history. Let's start now.
Open, right? That doesn't happen. And you should take the same approach when it comes to providing value to your clients.
100%.
You need to have like steps in that journey. Just like a personal trainer says, you're not going to lose 500 pounds today. You're going to be losing 10 pounds a month every month. And this is how we're going to do it. That's how you provide value that people want to buy.
I like it.
So for everybody watching, if this is like something you like or something interesting that provides value to you, leave a comment saying like you love it, you're excited, hearts, kisses, high fives, hugs, all that stuff. Keep us motivated and going. Because Danny Velez, like literally in my journey, that's where I hit Danny Velez and I was like, it started going like this really fast. And the emails and the soap opera sequences serve as like an automatic follow-up that gets people excited, motivated about buying my clients' products. So yeah, and a great comment there says, you're the guide for their hero journey. And apparently that's a book that I've never heard from Donnie.
Oh, dude, this person obviously read The Hero of 1,000 Faces by Dr. Joseph Campbell, right? I got this book actually right here, man.
That's awesome.
It's right here. I read this book. It's like my Bible, man.
That's so awesome. So Joseph,
and that's how I was able to learn about stories and what makes an impactful story, by the way, through this book.
No shit.
No shit.
That's crazy. From what I know about Joseph Campbell, he is the process and the steps behind every single hero story in modern history. Like Luke Skywalker, what's the stupid the kids and the witch and the Hogwarts.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe shit.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Hogwarts, Star Wars. Everything that has ever happened that you go like, wow, that's an awesome story. It's because it's based upon Joseph Campbell's structure. So yeah, it's super exciting stuff. I'm super psyched you brought that book up. I haven't read it, but I've heard of Joseph Campbell.
Dude, everybody should read it. It changed my life. Just saying. That's a super side note, but Joseph Campbell revolutionized my life because this is the thing. Humans have been sharing stories since the beginning of time. Before there was civilization, quote unquote, and all that stuff, we were sharing stories to understand nature and the world around us and the cycles of life and death and rebirth or birth and all that crazy stuff. So, understanding that stories are such a vital part to just humans in general, it's the way that we, feel important and identify with the way that we're changing and growing in the world will really help you understand how important it is in your marketing. So I would say read that book, The Hero of 1,000 Faces.
Marketing is telling stories effectively, pretty much. So the number 3 fire, and we're coming kind of to the end of this interview. Number 3 says, how to increase your rates without losing your clients. I do want to say Danny Velez did it to me, and I think he increased my rate by like 30%. And I was like, okay, here's your money. And I didn't feel like, oh my God, Danny, I hate you. How could you do this? Blah, blah. Like that didn't come up, which is always an agency's fears of increasing somebody's prices and then they just hate you forever. And they don't renew or they don't buy. So is there like some thought process that you could recommend to anybody watching this when they're trying to figure out how to raise their rates without losing their clients?
Yeah, number one is it's not even a point on my thing, but I just thought about it because it's something that's not even really a thing that you can go and buy, but you have to be certain in yourself. You know, until you recognize your own worth and how much value it is that you're bringing to a client, you know, and how much, you know, it has to be real. I knew that I could bring value. I wasn't just making shit up. We had results.
Yep.
You know, I did good stuff for clients. I have testimonials. And I was like, dude, you know what? I think that I should get paid a little bit more for my time. So I devised the plan and I was like, hey, this is how I'm going to tell Jeff. And this is how I'm going to tell my other clients that from here on out, I'm going to be charging X amount for my, you know, for my services. That if you do number one and number two correctly, this is going to be really easy because trust is going to be built. The results are going to be there. So the logic is already there. Hey, it's either, you know, I pay Danny a little bit more for what he's worth, or, you know, I have to try and find somebody else and hope that they're good. You know, so the emotion and the logic is already there if you do number one and two correctly. And the number, you know, kind of three is what I said earlier, which is you have to know your worth and come and speak to your client with certainty. Because if I would have been like, you know, Jeff is a cool dude, so he probably wouldn't have been an asshole to me. But if I would have went up to Jeff and been like, for example, Jeff, you know, I'm really thinking that perhaps maybe I think I need to raise my prices.
Right.
Jeff, you know, who knows how that would have went? I would have looked kind of like a pussy, you know, or like a shit stain or something. You know, I would have looked really horrible to as far as my confidence and do I really even believe I need to be raising my prices is what the customer is going to be thinking. So, you know, you have to be certain in yourself and obviously going above and beyond before you ask for that increase to make sure that the client feels like they got their money's worth and some.
I do want to say that the message, I don't remember what it said, but what I remember or the notes I had was, I didn't know Danny Velez put so much effort into researching before he actually writes this stuff. And in the message, again, I don't remember it, and it's like a billion scrolls up, is like, I'm more than happy to keep paying someone for the obvious and explicit work that they're doing to make sure they keep doing a good job. I was like, okay, that's fine. And I think it was like, I ended up paying 30% more per soap opera sequence. I was like, fine, because the value is there. He's working with me, and he's communicating the value the way I want to receive it, which is like, stop ignoring me, please respond type thing. And hell, it was working in that anyway. So like, you know, who cares? Right. And I'd much rather have you be able to focus on soap opera sequences than having to be split between like selling insurance, then doing this other thing and doing soap opera sequences on the side. So it was like making sure my suppliers can focus, that type of thing. So this is coming to kind of to the end of the interview. So there's any last minutes, comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, and ideas. Now's the time, because then we're going to go into the end of the stream special, which I realize how bad that sounds nowadays. So I'm going to be changing that soon. We got like 2 more questions.
Cool.
Here we go. How many nurturing sequences do you recommend for a real estate campaign, let's say a listing or an open house? So how would you, or how many email nurturing sequences for a real estate campaign?
By the way, I'm curious if that's Sonia, because
it might be Sonia.
Okay, she always does those shoes. But how many nurturing sequences do you recommend for a real estate campaign, let's say listing or open house? I would recommend you know, at least 5 to 7. With real estate agents, as far as listings and open houses, sometimes people, it seems like a tedious task to have to go to a house and stuff like that and go look at it. And they know they're going to have to look at 100 more, or they're thinking they're going to have to look at 100 more before they even. So I would say, you know, warm them up for like 5 to 7 days with valuable content, whether it's for buying or selling, whatever the case is. So I would say, you know, 5 to 7 is a good figure. Anything less than that, it might be a little too, you know, you might not be doing enough, but I would say 5 to 7.
So I've always used that more people are interested in the real estate agent that climbs himself out of poverty than they are about saving 1% of the cost of their home. So I would challenge that and say you can do a 5 to 7 soap opera sequence if the soap opera sequence is about a journey that matches the journey of the customer, right? Yep. So like there's a guy named Jarl, Jarl, who's based out of Sweden, who's trying to sell me a condo, which I'm like, I don't really like it, but like we started chatting, and all of a sudden I find out that his family literally like migrated away from Sweden during like the huge, like and like they got caught up in all this stuff, and he's resettling his family in Miami, and now they're trying to like figure out how to connect to their heritage, and like this really cool story that makes a lot of sense for the transient population in Miami. And I was like, how come I don't know this story? Like, that's a soap opera sequence. Why isn't that a thing?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But instead of that, he's sending me notifications on like, here's your MLS update. I'm like, I can Google that. I don't give a shit. Give me something that's valuable.
Exactly. Something that's going to connect you to the property or to the experience that they're going to try and sell you on.
Correct. And just as importantly as connecting with that agent. And the agent story, which is really cool.
Exactly.
So like Danny alluded to, I did kind of twist his leg because we do have that end of live stream special. Oh, I said it again. End of stream special. Yay. So here's the cool stuff that's going to happen. So if you are interested in Danny Velez's interview questions that help you turn a client who does not have a story into a client that has an amazing story that you can leverage into soap opera sequences, I want you to leave a comment saying, Danny, give me the questions. And he's going to pick 5 people to give those stories to. So the first 5 people to say, Danny, give me those questions. You are going to be in a position where you say, oh my God, I can now onboard effectively. My clients and my customers love me. I can now do a soap opera sequence, and I'm providing value to the people that serve me. And there's always a delay, and I always freak out. So we got Jack McCarthy that says, Danny, give me those questions. We got Christian C. Paxton. We've got Cody Lucero and Yamil Santiago Kosawan. So those are the 5 people.
Oh man,
guys, like a group thing, so you guys can get connected.
Perfect.
Like that. But there's more. Don't worry, there's more. It was just the 5 people. Danny does soap opera sequences for lots of Facebook ads agencies, both that are getting started, growing, and ones that have grown. And he has a customized process, but also a template process where he takes his best performing soap opera sequences, pulls out the customized information, and gives you one that's like 95% done. And so if you guys are interested in this really awesome deal, you can literally get up to, I think, 50% off, right?
50% off, yeah. Today only.
Today only, yeah. So like if you're watching this replay, tough. So literally you can get a $160 soap opera sequence for $87 today, but you have to send Danny Velez a message saying, I want your soap opera sequences. He's going to walk you through that process. You're going to pick one, and then you're going to get that high-performing soap opera sequence. Or you can get all 10 soap opera sequences for $420, which has it 420. Yay! So you can literally have a agency in a box on a folder on your desktop, calling your clients and customers, saying, hey guys, I have a new product and service. You can communicate your story effectively. I've got the questions to make your soap opera sequence work. I've got the soap opera sequence to get all your leads excited about buying from you. When do you want to get this started? By the way, Jeff sells a soap opera sequence for well north of $1,500. So that's a huge margin for you today.
100%.
And provides a lot of value to your clients and customers. So if you're interested in that, you have to send Danny Velez a message. Stop commenting. That doesn't count. It was only for the first 5 to give me those questions. If you want the Danny Velez Jeff Miller special, send him a message.
Bro, you should tag me in the comments. Am I tagged in the live or something?
I'm gonna do that right now at Danny Velez. There you go.
Cool.
And Jaden, yes, he chose 420 on purpose.
Yes,
I do want to say that you are popular. Like, there's a lot of people saying, Danny, give me those questions. Oh my God. But
yeah, they work, man. And I might give it to more than 5 people. It just depends, you know. I just don't want too many people. You know, I want to make sure that it's something that's exclusive that people are able to use to get results for their clients. But, you know, it just depends how I feel later. I might give it to, 10 or 15 people.
Well, then keep commenting, Danny, give me those questions, because like it's up to him. It's his process, it's his tools. I use it and my clients go, oh my God, I had no idea. Yeah, you're tagged. I think this was a great, almost hour-long #trees. Oh my God. This was a great interview. We went over a lot of interesting stuff, ranging from Danny Velez's Facebook ads agency story, learning to focus on soap opera sequences, connecting with future clients, getting signed deals and increasing your rates without losing your clients and customers. So I genuinely, honestly, 100% hope that anybody watching this is now in a position to grow their agency, scale it, and sell something new, because your clients do want to buy stuff if you're offering it. So if there's any last comments or questions, Danny, you're up. But after that, we'll kind of end everything.
Cool. So Jeff talks a lot about upsells that sell. Email sequences is something that makes logical sense for your customers to buy, if you're doing their Facebook ads for them. So it's a very easy, you can say, we can do a custom email sequence for 300, for 500. Jeff has sold them for 1,500.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, it's a very easy upsell once you get the templates, that are proven to work and they're time tested. And then also the other thing that I just want to say, all of this stuff that we went over today, it's stuff that I did for myself. It's how I grew my business. I'm not pulling it from any book or anything like that. It literally is stuff that yesterday night, I'm like, dude, let me look back and see what it was that I did to provide value. So if you do this stuff and kind of just make it custom to who you are and what you think will work for you, I know for a fact that you'll see results with everything that we went over today.
Very cool. All right. That's it. Danny, I'm going to get back to work. Thanks.